Okay, I'll be taking out all this tile on the floor of the shower, and I'll be going up one tile all the way around because apparently this pan is leaking and we're not really sure why. It might be the tile or it might be the curb. Either way, it's a bad job because they didn't really cut it around and there's a lot of caulking there, and they didn't put enough caulking on the edge close enough or whatever, but it will be taken out and we'll see what's going on. Alright, what I've found so far, and I haven't even really taken up that curb too much, is I'm finding hardy backboard, and the hardy backboard is wet, and guess what? The hardy backboard is also has a lot of moisture that has saturated it and is just breaking apart. So the hardy backboard is not the end all. Look at that. Just pieces of this hardy backboard. And the hardy backboard guys will tell you that this stuff is impervious to water, and they'll show you a piece of it encapsulated in water and that it's not coming apart. But the reality is it does come apart. It's just like cardboard, which is why I don't like it. Okay, now we have most of the material taken off of the curb, and as you can see there is wood rot because they never brought the curb and wrapped it around. And obviously, as I showed before, you've got good wood under there and bad wood on the outside. So not wrapping the curb was really stupid. Again, we have this hardy backboard that is just rotted to death, just falling apart in pieces. So the hardy people should see this. It's crap. They didn't put a red guard on, but there is some type of blue guard material that they used on here to make it waterproof, right? Well, it wasn't waterproof because even after they put that material on there, you can see you got black mold around this little water connection that's not being used. Why they didn't cap that off, I have no idea. You got mold going all the way around. You got wetness going all the way around. This shower is not recently used. Here's your hardy backboard again. Just wet, saturated. Mold on this wall, black mold all the way around, which means the water penetration. In addition to that, they actually put the wall tile on first and then did the floor tile, which was stupid because then you have this horizontal grout line for water to penetrate. So overall, it's just a crap job, and we'll see what the shower pan looks like when I pull that up. Alright, so I've taken up some of the concrete shower pan, and you can see that this concrete is very thick. That was up against the wall here, but it's all saturated. The whole thing is saturated with water. Water getting into a shower pan is not a huge deal. Most shower pans I've taken out have been kind of moist, which is why you want to do the pre-floor before you do the shower pan, so that that excess water travels down to the pan. But the biggest issue here is they put the hardy backboard alongside of the pan. They actually put the pan up. I'm assuming that's going to go up about 4 to 6 inches up to this level. But then they put the hardy backboard over that, poured the pan, right? So that's setting up against it, and so any water that you possibly would have going to the pan now follows down, gets saturated into the shower pan itself. Water's got nowhere to go. It travels up the board, and this is the reason that you have all the mold and stuff going on. Besides the fact, which I didn't mention before, these are 1/8 inch grout lines that they use actually non-sanded grout on. Oops, see the powder? Non-sanded grout on 1/8 inch grout lines. Dumb. Which is why you have these issues in the corners and stuff like that. So again, really bad job. But I'm going to take up the rest of the pan and see how they did the stuff on the inside. Alright, we got the shower pan basically tore out. All the hardy backboard was embedded. I actually thought this was sheetrock on this backboard here because it was just so soft and moist at the bottom that it just had to be sheetrock, right? I think this is a piece right here. Look how this falls apart in my hand like sheetrock would if it were wet. But it wasn't sheetrock. It was hardy backer, same as it was on the front and the back and the side here. They didn't put any supports in the shower pan, you know, between the studs here. I usually put a 2x6, which is not really that relevant, but it's enough. This blue water membrane waterproofer was all up inside of there as well, but again, it doesn't do any good if all the other stuff is messed up. And you can see on the drain, this house was probably built 20 years ago, and it's the original drain. It's actually a metal drain, and it's all kinds of stuff inside of it. So they didn't even change out the drain, which begs the question, how did they actually get the cap on here decently and watertight if they didn't change the drain? So we're going to take all that out and start from scratch. Alright, I've taken up the drain. The drain was actually cast iron, the original drain that was put in here. It's a cast iron drain. The original glue from the ABS pipe to the cast iron is on there. So obviously the drain never got changed out. You can see where the shower pan had been placed up under the rim here, the cap that went on top. So don't know why that failed, but it did. When I change out drains for shower, I change out the whole thing down there into the P-trap. I cut off just beyond the P-trap, put a whole new drain system in with a new drain cap and everything. So again, they went to extraordinary methods to, you know, do things that they thought were right, but then the method of working, putting everything back together, wasn't right. And look at all the mortar that they actually spilled into the drain. I thought it was calcium buildup at first, but that stuff is half an inch thick. That's not calcium buildup. If you look at the bottom, there's so much of this crud, this mortar, that during the building process they just dumped into the drain, thinking maybe that, I guess, it'll go away. In addition to taking the drain out and everything, I started taking out the curb, the wood on top of the curb, and as I took the first piece out, the second piece down here actually still has moisture on it, still wet. So we had a failure of the curb, which I think is the major problem that they had. I mean, amongst all the others with the non-sanded grout being used and all the other issues that were going on, including probably the drain, the failure had a lot to do with the curb here. There really never should be moisture under these 2x4s. So I think even the bottom one here has some moisture issues. Alright, there's a whole subfloor taken out. Actually, the subfloor was rotted, mostly around that area where we had a lot of the water at the curb, so it was rotted anyway. The customer wanted the whole subfloor torn out because there was a lot of mold down there above the subfloor in his basement. So the mold is now gone, as is the wall mold and everything. We can start from scratch. And of course the drain got cut out too, because I'll put another one in.